What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I want to talk about the absolutely epic pump that we saw on Bitcoin last night. And we actually caught this live on my stream last night at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But in today's video, I want to talk about these new yearly highs for Bitcoin and what it means for the future of the Bitcoin price. Was this some kind of scam pump to the upside before we're about to roll back over and shoot back to the downside? Or is this pump indeed going to be sustainable? And if so, where is the next stop for Bitcoin? So in this video, I want to talk about those next targets to the upside, if the pump is going to continue, and then I also want to talk a little bit about how we got here and why it was such a fast move to the upside, as well as some key levels of support to the downside in case we do get a correction. I want to talk about where I think we're likely to get a bounce and potentially continue up to make more yearly highs. So guys, before we break into the TA, I just want to cover some of these articles because I know a lot of people always ask me, like, why did the price pump? Shout out to Coinbase, whose stock is up about 14% today off of all this craziness. And as you guys can see here, shares of the cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase surged about 14% on Tuesday. And you guys can see right here, shares of Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust also surged in Tuesday morning's trading by nearly 7%. Grayscale saw a victory formalized in federal appeals court Monday when a judge's mandate that the SEC review the company's Bitcoin ETF proposal took effect. Coinbase's stock price, which was also lifted by the finalized decision, often closely mirrors broader cryptocurrency markets in performance. The company is one of the largest crypto custodians and has been tapped by a host of prospective ETFs, including BlackRock's proposed Bitcoin ETF in that capacity. So guys, this is pretty bullish for all Bitcoin ETFs in general. And then you can see we have another article here. ETF fund analyst Eric B., I'll call him, said the addition was all part of the process of a crypto ETF being listed and traded and a positive sign for SEC approval. So guys, this is obviously very, very bullish for Bitcoin. Now that we know kind of fundamentally what the random news was, by the way, if you guys haven't watched the Sunday Sauce video, go check that out because we talk about even more high targets for Bitcoin, but we actually unintentionally predicted a random bullish news story about the Bitcoin ETF happening out of nowhere and what would the price of Bitcoin do. We go over all that on the Sunday Sauce video, and then yeah, I don't know, the next day we wound up getting that random piece of ETF news and it wound up pumping right to our target. So definitely go check that video out. I'll link it in a card above. But now let's go ahead and jump on into the chart. So guys, here we are on the Bitcoin chart, and I'm going to try to keep this video a little bit on the shorter end just to get the important information, and then we'll get right out of here. But as you guys know, we have been looking at some very, very important levels on Bitcoin, starting off with our macro value area, or our main volume profile that we've been looking at, between about 29,368 and about 25,757. Now, you guys do know that as we had come up to this level and broken out of this value area, we actually shifted our focus to a new volume profile, and that profile is coming in right here, shaded in white with our value area high at 31.4, very close to our last yearly highs. And this was our new doorway. As soon as we broke out of our previous value area right here, this was going to be our new doorway to higher prices, as it is a value area high. And typically, when you decide to decisively break out of these value area highs, it could open up the door to more higher prices. So as we entered up into this area, guys, we hit our head on that POC, came back down, but as soon as we were able to get above this value area low and flip it to support, this is where our targets pointed to the upside, saying that POC was going to be likely the next target. And if we were able to get above that POC, looking at that value area high, which was that exciting level because this was the level that actually opened up the doorway to higher prices. Why does this open up the door to higher prices? If we pull up our VPVR here, guys, you can see that as we zoom out and we bring in some more of this price action, you can see we actually had quite the volume gap above this value area high, again, making this a doorway to higher prices. Once you decisively crack that level, we were at risk. I mean, well, I guess we had the opportunity to get above that level and potentially see a quick move up to our next high volume node, which wound up coming in right here at about 35.8, where we topped off at least on the Bybit chart right here. So not only did we know if we broke out of this high right here, we could see higher prices for Bitcoin, but we were expecting it to likely be quick based off that volume gap that we had right here. Nothing but air, nothing holding you back, nothing but sweet, sweet gains ahead. And now you might be saying to yourself, well, great, Frankie Candles, you broke out of the volume profile, but where are we likely to be headed next? And by the way, what are we getting resistance on right here? Well, now that we've actually broken out of this volume profile, guys, we have now entered an even larger volume profile, which is pretty exciting because, as you can see, when I pull up our new volume profile, pulled all the way from the top of the bull run, you guys can see we are now well above our value area low of our macro volume profile. And in my opinion, as long as we're able to maintain support above this 28.8K level, which is our macro value area low, this will enable us to come up to higher prices. So even if we do get a cool off here and we come down to test this value area low a little bit, we could potentially still see a strong bounce. The next target for Bitcoin, if we wind up continuing to the upside, could potentially be up here closer to about $39,000. And as long as we hold that key level of support, guys, we could still potentially have the opportunity to see some higher prices for Bitcoin this year. And we'll talk about those targets right now. Now, I know you guys see this golden pocket up here and this POC and this 786 value area high. So I guess I'll talk about these targets first. This POC is on the Bybit chart, coming in at about $47,344. And just based off the laws of the volume profile, we know if you hold that value area low as support, the next likely place for price to go is going to be that point of control. Now, I'm not calling for this level to come today or tomorrow or even in the next few weeks, but this would be, if we get more upside, a very, very critical level to keep on your chart and keep a close eye on, because if we get up there, this is likely going to be an area where we could see strong resistance, especially because we have the macro golden pocket sitting up here between about 48 and 50K. And then pretty self-explanatory. If we break those levels, guys, the next clear level of resistance is going to be the value area high 786 confluence right here, coming in between 54, 255, and 57.6K. However, guys, I want to be very clear. I am not necessarily calling for these levels to come anytime soon, but they are sitting up there, so I figured I would mention them. But let's actually go ahead and hop on over to the Bitstamp chart so I can talk to you guys about the resistance we're seeing right now and some more local and more realistic targets that we can actually come up to sooner than later, rather than, waiting for that 50K number. So, guys, as you can see, we have that same volume profile on the charts right here. And as you can see, this is actually on the Bitstamp chart, so not a leverage exchange. And you can see that area we are getting resistance at. This is actually a level we were calling live on my live stream last night. And I was saying, I don't think we could come up and hit this right now, guys. And I was even saying, don't call me a moon boy. I'm not saying this is going to come in today or tomorrow. And then literally as I was talking, Bitcoin just came up and tapped this level almost perfectly. But guys, this is the level we are starting to see a little bit of resistance on. And it makes perfect sense when you're looking at the volume profiles, because once you get above this value area low, where is the next place for price to likely go? That's right. Shout out to Creighton C. The next place you're likely to go is going to be that point of control right here at about $34,500. And where did price go? It shot right up to that POC. We knew we had the volume gap here, so it happened very quickly. And now, in my opinion, we are accepted back into this range. And as long as we remain above this value area low, even if we wind up bing-bonging around a little bit and price action gets a little boring, we could potentially flip that POC to support and see the value area high come in again, getting close to about 48 to 50K. Now, obviously, guys, I just said those targets were a little bit moonish. I don't know if we're going to get there anytime soon, but there are some closer levels I'm keeping an eye on, so let's talk about those right now. So I'm actually going to leave this macro range on the charts here, but I'm going to add the local targets here for Bitcoin, because in my opinion, guys, again, as long as we hold that value area low between about 28.8 and 29.2K, if we wind up shooting up again for Bitcoin, the next main target I would be looking at would be this purple box sitting between about 37.6 to about 39K, and you might as well throw 40K in there as well, because if we get up to 39K, people might just go pushing for that psychological $40,000 level. But back here, guys, we do have a local volume profile with the POC and value area low in almost perfect confluence, likely going to be a pretty strong level of resistance if we get back up there. But the good news there is if we get up to this level and we're able to flip this level to support, we may wind up being able to make it up to that value area high. Again, getting into the $40,000 level, closer to about 43.9, almost 44K. So guys, these levels are starting to sound a little bit crazy. Like, are we really talking about a 45K Bitcoin? Are we talking about a 39K Bitcoin? Potentially, these levels are definitely in the cards because, again, although we have come up to the point of control of this range and we're likely to see resistance, if we flip this level, we're likely to come up to the value area high, but we just have to be careful of those intermediary levels we were just looking at because they're likely to give us some turbulence if we get up to that point. And again, although we came up to the point of control here, the Bybit point of control is actually all the way up here at about 47.5. When you're looking at the higher time frames on the Bybit chart, you actually haven't even made it to your POC yet, but you have cleanly broken in to your new area of balance. And again, we would eventually and potentially expect to move up to that POC. And we're using the volume profiles to give us context into where price will go next, while also understanding that there are many local levels in between that will likely give us a little bit of noise in the price action. But when you sit on your hands and trust in the volume profiles and let the price action play out, more often than not, price goes where we expect it to, even though it's not 100% of the time. Now, guys, if we wind up getting a cool off here, because like I said, obviously we are hitting that point of control on the Bitstamp exchange here, so this is, in my opinion, going to be a strong level of resistance, and if we can't pop up above this soon and flip it to support, it is going to be likely that we get some kind of a cool off here. But remember, based off the money flow on Market Cypher B, guys, fresh crossover into the green on the weekly, on top of the daily money flow being in the green, nice and thick, this would indicate the longer term trend is going to continue up. So if we do see some turbulence here or we see some pushes to the downside, I will be expecting this to be a small local pullback before putting in a higher low and continuing to the upside. But in the shorter term, we are actually pretty overbought on a lot of these time frames, the 12-hour, the 16-hour, the daily, with the VWAPs actually starting to come down on a lot of these time frames, looking for those red dots. So that would also be indicative of a cool-off incoming. But again, as long as we hold that value area low at about 28.8K, I do think we do have a chance to continue to higher prices. It's not until we start closing higher time frame candles below this level that I start to worry about the price and expect lower prices to income. So as long as we remain in this range, guys, I'm going to be looking up for Bitcoin. And don't forget, guys, if you've been watching the channel for quite some time, when we were initially getting our big move down here, I remember it was a Thursday, getting that quick move to the downside here, we were actually looking for a potential slightly higher low to come in here. And if we were able to put in that higher low, we were looking for a potential push back to the upside to break the yearly highs and put in a higher high. Now, as we bing-bonged around here forever, that sentiment did change a little bit based off money flow and the fact that the Bybit chart actually wound up putting in a lower low on the Wix. But that is a leverage exchange, so you have to realize that if the spot exchanges aren't making those lower lows, you could actually continue that bullish market structure on the higher time frames and get a bigger move to the upside. And shout out if you're watching this and you remember us talking about that, because that means that you're pretty much an OG of this channel, because that was quite a while ago. But guys, on the spot exchanges, we actually have seen that exact thing happen, where we did put in that very, very, very slightly higher low, and we have maintained that bullish market structure. Again, you can see it's not too much, but it is a slightly higher low. So that was our original thesis. The bullish case for us was for price to come down, put in a slightly higher low, maintaining the bullish market structure on the weekly time frame, putting in that higher low to continue up and break those yearly highs. And here we are at new yearly highs. And with all that being said, guys, I think that's all the time I got for today's video. I hope you guys learned something, or I hope these levels help you gain some kind of insight into the charts and where Bitcoin is likely to go next. So with all that being said, guys, that's all the time I got for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Frankie Candles out.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand.